Maya's world didn't end with a shout, but with the soft whisper of embossed letters under her fingertips. The name on the card wasn't the one he'd given her. It was a name that belonged in financial newspapers and on the sides of skyscrapers. A name that meant billions. And in that silent, heart-stopping moment, the man she loved, the man she'd shared her body and soul with, vanished, replaced by an elegant stranger. Have you ever discovered the person you love isn't who they claimed to be? Have you ever felt the solid ground of your trust turn to quicksand, pulling your entire heart under? When the person you've built your life with has been living a lie, how can you trust anything was real? Were their tender words a script? Was the future you dreamed of just a beautiful fiction? Would you forgive someone who hid their entire identity, even if they did it for love? Could your heart find its way back to a person who built your relationship on a foundation of secrets? If you've ever had your trust broken, if you've ever had to choose between the pain of a lie and the hope of a second chance, share your story in the comments below. Let's talk about what it truly takes to rebuild love. Now, let's go back to the beginning, to the day Maya first saw him, when all she saw was the man, and not the monument he was hiding. It began with gasoline and grace, at a classic car show on the edge of the city. Maya was there for the photography, the way the sunset caught on chrome. He was there, she thought, for the same reason. She saw him first through her lens, leaning against a vintage Mustang, his gaze not on the crowd, but on the engine, with a look of pure, unadulterated reverence. He wasn't dressed for wealth. He wore faded jeans and a white T-shirt, the fabric soft and intimate against his skin. There was a quiet intensity about him, a stillness that felt like an anchor in the noisy sea of people. Their eyes met over the hood of a '67 Corvette. He didn't smile immediately. He just looked, and she felt seen, in a way that had nothing to do with her appearance and everything to do with her soul. When he finally walked over, his voice was a low hum that seemed to vibrate in the space between them. "You see how the light catches the curve of the fender?" he said, pointing. "It's like a line of poetry." That was it. No cheesy pickup line, just poetry, in metal. His name was Leo, he said. Leo, who worked as a mechanic and saved every penny to restore an old bike. Leo, who knew the history of every car on that field, not from books, but from a place of genuine passion. They talked for hours, until the stars came out, and the field emptied. He spoke of engines like they were hearts, of design like it was art. And she fell, not for a wallet, but for a worldview. Their courtship was a sweet, slow burn. Picnics by the lake, his hands, calloused and honest, sketching car designs on a napkin for her. Late-night conversations on her tiny balcony, where he'd traced the line of her collarbone with a reverence that made her feel like a masterpiece. He was her sanctuary. When he kissed her for the first time, it tasted of coffee and vulnerability, and the world narrowed to the space between their lips. He was the one who suggested they visit the Apex Grand dealership. "I want to see the new Vanguard hypercar with you," he'd whispered into her hair that morning, his body warm and solid against her back. "I want to dream with you, Maya." The way he said her name, it was a promise. She thought she knew every secret of his heart. She had no idea he was about to show her the one he'd kept locked away. They arrived at the Apex Grand on his motorcycle, the wind still tangled in their hair, laughter on their lips. The dealership was a temple of glass and light, filled with automotive gods. They walked in hand, their casual clothes a stark contrast to the polished perfection around them. But they didn't care. They were in their own bubble, a universe of two. They found the Vanguard. It was a sculpture of speed, a low-slung beast in a shade of deep emerald that seemed to drink the light. Leo's eyes shone with that same boyish wonder she'd fallen in love with. He leaned close, his breath a warm caress on her ear. "Can you imagine the feel of that engine? The purr of it?" That's when he appeared. A salesman, his suit costing more than their entire outfits combined. His name tag read Julian's. He looked them up and down, his smile a cold, sharp thing. "Can I help you?" he asked, but his tone said, "You don't belong here." Leo, ever the gentleman, smiled. "We were just admiring the Vanguard. The engineering is breathtaking." Julian's lips curled. "I'm sure it is. But this isn't a museum. This vehicle starts at $950,000. He said the number slowly, as if they were children who couldn't comprehend it. A few of his colleagues nearby snickered, not even bothering to hide it. The air left Maya's lungs. Their beautiful bubble popped. Leo's hand tightened around hers. She saw the light in his eyes dim, replaced by a flush of humiliation. The boy who spoke in poetry about engines was being treated like he couldn't read the alphabet. "We were just looking," Leo said, his voice quiet, defeated. "Perhaps you'd be more comfortable, at a more accessible lot," Julian suggested, gesturing vaguely toward the door. They left. They didn't speak. The ride home was cold, the wind now feeling hostile. The memory of Julian's sneer was a stain on their perfect day. That night, as they lay in bed, the space between them felt vast. Leo was silent, his back to her. The humiliation was a third person in the room, and it had built a wall between them. She touched his shoulder, and he flinched. The man she loved felt broken, and she didn't know how to fix him. The next morning, Leo was gone before she woke. A note on the pillow said, "Needed to clear my head. I love you." But the silence felt different. Anxious, Maya decided to tidy up their small apartment, to pour her nervous energy into something productive. That's when she found it. Tucked inside a book on automotive history he'd been reading, A book he claimed to have bought second-hand was a sleek black business card. It was heavy, the paper thick and expensive. Lionel Vance III, CEO, Vance International Holdings. There was a phone number, an address in the financial district, a world away from their life. The room tilted. Vance International. She knew that name. Everyone did. It was a conglomerate, an empire, billionaires. Her Leo, who loved cheap diner coffee and fixing his own bike, was Lionel Vance III. The pieces crashed together. The depth of his knowledge that sometimes seemed too profound for a mechanic. The occasional, unplaceable hint of an elite education in his speech. The way he never let her meet his family, saying they were complicated. It was all a lie. Every tender moment, every whispered dream in the dark. Had it been a game to him? A vacation from his real life? She felt a nausea that had nothing to do with her stomach and everything to do with her soul. The foundation of their love crumbled into dust. She was living a romance novel, and she had just discovered she was a side character in her own story. When he walked in hours later, his expression was heavy with the weight of yesterday. He came to her, reaching for her. "Maya, I'm so sorry about yesterday. She didn't let him finish. She held up the card. The look on his face, the shock, the immediate guilt, the crushing defeat, told her everything she needed to know. "Who are you?" she whispered, the words tearing from a place of raw hurt. He looked at her, his beautiful, honest eyes now filled with a terrifying truth. "Maya, please, let me explain." But in that moment, she didn't want an explanation. She wanted the man she thought she loved back, and he was gone. This is where trust is truly tested, isn't it? What would you do if you were in her shoes? Would you listen? Would you walk away? Share your thoughts with this community right now. Hit pause and drop a comment. Let's see how we all navigate these heart-wrenching moments. And if you're invested in this story, please show your support by liking the video and subscribing to Mr. Cael Stories. It truly helps us grow. He didn't try to touch her. He just stood there in the middle of their apartment, looking more vulnerable than she had ever seen him. "My whole life," he began, his voice rough with emotion. "I've been Lionel Vance, heir, figurehead, a walking bank account. People don't see me. They see a logo. They see a fortune. When I met you, you saw Leo. You looked at me, and your eyes didn't calculate. They just saw. And it was the most precious thing I'd ever been given." He told her everything. The pressure from his family. The loneliness of a life where every friendship was suspect. Every relationship a transaction. Coming to the car show, working as a mechanic, it wasn't a lie to him. It was his only truth. It was the only way he could breathe. "I was going to tell you," he pleaded, his eyes glistening. "I was waiting for the right moment. I was so terrified of losing the one real thing I'd ever had. What we have, Maya, it's the only thing in my life that isn't for sale. It's the only thing that's mine." He sank to his knees before her, not in supplication, but in exhaustion. "I love you, not as Lionel Vance, but as the man you taught how to be loved. The man who loves you more than anything in this world. Losing you would be like losing the sun." She looked at him, this powerful, broken man, and saw the truth he was speaking. The deception wasn't born of malice, but of a desperate, profound fear. He had built a fortress of lies to protect the one true thing inside, his love for her. The anger began to melt, replaced by a devastating, aching understanding. Could she punish him for wanting to be loved for his soul? Was the man she loved a lie? Or was the name the only fiction? She reached out, her fingers gently tracing the line of his jaw. A tear escaped his eye and tracked down her thumb. It was the most intimate moment they had ever shared. "Leo," she said, her voice soft but firm. "Your name isn't what matters, but from this moment on, your honesty has to be." He looked up at her, hope dawning in his beautiful, wounded eyes. It was a fragile, trembling thing, but it was a start. The following day, two silhouettes emerged from the dawn mist, gliding down the street with a silent, impossible grace. Two Rolls-Royce boat tails, one in a celestial blue, the other in a profound black, pulled up right in front of the Apex Grand dealership. They didn't park. They arrived, like kings claiming their throne. The door of the blue Rolls-Royce opened, and Maya stepped out. She wore a simple, elegant dress, her hand held firmly in Leo's. He was beside her, not in a mechanic's clothes, but in a suit that seemed woven from shadows and power, his posture radiating a quiet authority she had never seen before. This was Lionel Vance, and he was holding her hand, their united front a statement in itself. They walked inside. The showroom fell into a dead silence. Julian, the salesman, was in the middle of a pitch. He saw them, and his face went pale. The smirk he'd worn yesterday was gone, replaced by a dawning, horrifying comprehension. The manager scurried over. "Mr. Vance, this is an unexpected honor." Leo's voice was calm, cutting through the tension like a laser. "We're here to see the sales associate who assisted my fiancé and me during our visit yesterday." Julian stepped forward, sweating. "Sir, that was me. No," Leo interrupted, his gaze icy. "You were the one who dismissed us, the one who showed us who you are. We're here to see the woman who showed us kindness, the one you all thought was wasting her time." Her name was Clara. She emerged from the back, her eyes wide with confusion and fear. When she saw them, recognition flashed, followed by shock. Leo's expression softened. "You treated us with respect when no one else did. You saw the passion, not the price tag." He turned to the manager. "The Emerald Vanguard. We'll take it, fully commissioned to Clara, And I understand a senior position has just become available. He glanced meaningfully at Julian. It wasn't a request. It was a decree. Justice, delivered not with shouts, but with a quiet signature on a multi-million-dollar contract. The humiliation was not just erased. It was transformed into a testament of their love and his power, wielded for good. They didn't drive away in the new hypercar. They left in the Rolls-Royce, returning to his world. To their world now. His penthouse was everything their apartment wasn't. Vast, minimalist, with floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing the city lights. But it didn't feel cold, not anymore. He led her to the center of the living room, his hands finding her waist. "You chose me," he whispered, his forehead resting against hers. "Even after everything, you chose the man, not the myth." "I chose the truth," she corrected softly, her hands sliding up the exquisite fabric of his suit jacket to circle his neck. "And the truth is, I'm in love with you, all of you." The air between them shifted, charged with a new intensity. The secrets were gone. The walls were down. What remained was raw, exposed, and utterly breathtaking. He kissed her then, not with the gentle tenderness of before, but with a hungry, desperate passion that spoke of fear overcome and a future claimed. It was a kiss of ownership and surrender, all at once. He carried her to the bedroom, a sanctuary of soft light and silken sheets. Their lovemaking that night was a conversation without words. It was slow, deliberate, a rediscovery of every inch of each other. His hands, once calloused from a wrench, now moved over her skin with a reverent expertise, mapping her body as if committing it to memory under this new, honest sky. Every touch was a promise, every sigh a vow. When they finally became one, it was with a depth of connection that left them both breathless and trembling, their souls laid bare, no shadows left between them. They lay entangled in the aftermath, the city lights painting patterns on their skin. She traced the strong line of his jaw. "So, Lionel," she murmured. He smiled, a real, unguarded smile that reached his eyes. "To you," he said, kissing her forehead, her nose, her lips. "I will always be Leo, the man who loves you. The man you saved." That is their story. It's a reminder that the most expensive things in life aren't made of metal or money. They're made of trust, of vulnerability, of the courage to love someone for the truth of their soul, even when it's messy. The world will always judge you by your cover. But the greatest love affairs are written in the margins, between the lines of who we're supposed to be and who we truly are. So we ask you again, what is true value? Is it the car you drive or the hand you hold on the journey? If this story moved you, if it made you believe in second chances and the power of real love, then do us a favor, like this video. It tells the algorithm that stories with heart matter. Subscribe to Mr. Cael's Stories. We're building a community here that believes in love's unbreakable spirit. And most importantly, share your own story in the comments. Tell us about a time you were judged, a time you forgave, a time love surprised you. Let's fill this space with our truths. And wherever you are in the world, from New York to Nairobi, from London to Johannesburg, drop your location in the comments too. Let's see how far this message of love can reach. Thank you for watching. This is Cael, reminding you to always look beyond the surface. You never know what masterpiece you might find.